last look at the first Emperor's Champion of 2023. So the client wanted to copy this art here in theme and in pose. And we also wanted to keep the armor somewhat in the same character as the Emperor's Champion in the lore. Now his armor is generally depicted as very streamlined, very plain, very sparse. So we wanted to kind of keep that theme as well. As you can see, we started with an assault intercessor and added some studs, some rivets to add a little bit of character, but also keeping the armor sleek and somewhat plain. We added some heraldry on the side plate here, as well as to the ribs, and did a breastplate that was very, very simple, with some rivets to the collar as well. Arms are from an intercessor. The biceps and shoulders were removed and were attached to some pins, which were then custom sculpted in place. The hands do belong to the Emperor's Champion miniature, so we were able to use those, as well as make a little charm there, wrapped around his knuckles, right? The fingers needed to be sculpted. The original fingers were not going to work, so some custom fingers were used instead. And then the pommel was made like the second generation Emperor's Champion, with a ruby instead of the cross. And then a chain with a clasp was made over the wrist there, so you can see. And the chain down here was kept loose so that you could have a bit of motion built into the miniature. So instead of having it all wrapped up and then you just have a big bunch of chain, instead we left some chain down here so that it looks like it's a little bit loose, more interesting, and you can see more of the arm. And this forearm was wrapped in parchment, which was then left streaming to the rear. And then the head, this is the Emperor's Champion head. However, the laurel on the original sculpt was not going to fit, so we just removed it and sculpted on some laurels to the actual head there. And then the sword was pinned in place. And some ribbons were added to the backpack, same as the original sculpt. You can see that it's nailed right there to the backpack with a little bit of polystyrene tubing, and then left fluttering to the rear so that we get a sense of movement, right? So he is looming over his target, about to strike, and the parchment flows behind him, right? And there we have it, guys. I hope that was fun for you, taking that last look. There will be more Emperor's Champions on the way, I'm sure. This one was a fun little departure from the norm. And if you would like to learn to build stuff like this, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/lastlightcreative. You can also get a hold of me at lastlightcreative@gmail.com if you have ideas for commissions. And I can send you over some forms to fill out and we'll get you scheduled. If you are a Patreon supporter, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.